Well, I am very pleased to be with you. It has been a while. I've enjoyed my in-person visits with you in Auckland, but pleased to join you virtually today for the topic that I think is the question of our times. I think we are all maybe obsessed by the impact that AI is having on our firms. No doubt, many of you have seen the Sam Altman quote. He said 95, founder of OpenAI, 95% of what marketers use agencies for today will easily, nearly instantly, and at almost no cost be handled by AI. When I first read that, I thought, boy, that's an extreme statement. Not sure I believe that. I have come to believe that we're almost there today if we wanted to be very aggressive about it. The CEO of Anthropic says AI will eliminate 50% of all entry-level white-collar jobs within 1 to 5 years. There again, I think most of you would concur that that's already happening. It's not going to take the 5 years. And many are viewing this as a sort of great extinction. One of the venture capitalists I follow in our business believes that within the next 18 to 24 months, AI will wipe out $20 trillion of value from the professional services business. So we're in good company with law firms, accounting firms, and architects. We're all in the same boat and all being impacted in the same way by AI. Now, the great extinction already happening. I'm sure it's happening to you in your firms. We see headlines like this of brand organizations cutting agency expenses by 25% or more, forming their own in-house AI-powered units. But fortunately, major agencies are finally responding. And I say finally because I can't tell you how long it has taken some of the large multinational organizations and the Martin Sorrells of the world to come around to this point of view. But there was a headline in the trade press here in the US recently, as you can see here, Martin Sorrell's S4 Capital trades billable hours for outputs as AI redraws agency economics. Sorrell says agencies have no choice but to adapt. The old billable hours model is being swapped out for output-based pricing, less about time spent, more about results delivered. I honestly never thought I would hear Martin Sorrell utter those words. He was so intent on keeping the timesheet system alive. So there are extreme examples of what's happening in our business. The large tech companies are working pretty hard to just keep us out of the loop. There are products that they've developed, Meta, Google, even TikTok, that aim to allow marketers to use AI to completely circumvent the agency system, to conceive, create, produce, distribute, monitor, analyze campaigns all on their own. And then in our own industry, the extreme example is the one-person agency, the one person plus AI. And this firm called Product intends to in fact, was among the first to adopt that model and see how it plays out. The multinationals, of course, are paying very close attention to this. And I know we've got a lot of multinationals represented in the audience today, but no doubt you know that all the holding companies have developed their own AI platforms. Notable among them is WPP's Open platform, which I'd like to just share with you here quickly because I think it's a good example of what's happening at the multinational level.
As the world's leading marketing services organization, WPP knows how to help companies grow. That's why we created Open, the world's most advanced AI-powered operating system for marketing transformation. Built specifically to elevate and accelerate marketing output, Open enables the world's biggest marketers to transform their processes, enhance efficiency, and drive business growth. Its customizable command center view puts marketing KPIs and goals front and center. Open integrates teams, tasks, and information all in one place. As an end-to-end solution, it provides real-time data and strategic insights across every aspect of marketing, automating workflows, augmenting capabilities, radically improving existing processes, from crafting the perfect brief to creating on-brand strategies and ideas, to developing and deploying personalized content at scale, across channels, across the world, all at the speed of AI. With our embedded partnerships, we create proprietary, advanced, and specialized AI models. And as the company with the most diverse pool of client, industry, media, and performance insights, we bring an unrivaled collection of data to the table. Having invested hundreds of millions to date, Open is built for you. Seamlessly integrating technologies and data, fully configurable and open for all partners and users. This is marketing transformed. This is Open.
Now, I think there are two indisputable truths about the impact of AI on agencies. And the first is a point I've been making for some time now, which is I really truly believe AI is the final nail in the coffin of hourly billing. It is now obvious to agencies and clients alike that it's just simply impossible to monetize the value of AI in the hourly rate system. Otherwise, we would all be billing by the nanosecond in the future. And the second point that I think is takes a little bit more selling because it's a little bit more leading edge, but I believe AI is the reason that all agencies will ultimately move toward a productized business model. And I realize that's a scary concept, but I want to deconstruct it with you and explain what I mean by that and why it's a benefit for us. But let's look at the economic impact first. My friends at Scope Better, the software company that has a AI-powered approach to helping develop scopes outside of the hourly rate system. They do the analysis of a project done with and without AI and the impact on what you might bill to your clients. I think if you look at billing your clients half the amount that you normally would because you've got AI working behind the scenes is a kind of unsettling idea. But I want to share with you some very specific examples of how we can actually turn that around to our advantage. We're working in an environment where I think there's just real economic misalignment with the old hourly rate system. And I know some of you that with us today on this workshop have moved away from the hourly rate system. So I really applaud that and congratulate you. But the fundamental problem is that our clients, they don't buy what we sell. They buy solutions, and what we're selling are buckets of hours and time. And so that creates this misalignment of economic incentives. But there's actually a pretty simple fix, and that is to price the actual solution, not the hour. And that is the fundamental approach that I'm going to be talking about today that kind of underlies all of the approaches that we want to take when it comes to incorporating AI in our business model. I mean, we can break it down this way. We have a model we call the value pyramid, in which, you know, the simplest historical way agencies have approached it, of course, is with the hourly rate selling efforts in the form of time. Much better to move up a notch and instead charge for the actual deliverable. So that's charging for outputs, the work itself. And then in some cases, we have going backwards here. And in some cases we have, I apologize, my computer is playing tricks on me. It's not wanting to advance for some strange reason. Okay, there we go. And in some cases, we have the opportunity to charge for the actual results that we produce, the outcomes, and that makes us very nervous. But I'm going to tell you that in the age of AI, that is even more realistic than it has ever been. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. At the very least, we need to just commit to the idea of charging for outputs, at least that. And fortunately, there's been a lot of positive movement around this. The the momentum is clearly behind paying us for our actual work product. Back in 2016, this is Association of National Advertisers in the US, 5% of client organizations were paying agencies for outputs. In 2023, so just a few years ago, that had increased to over half, preferring and actually insisting that they want to pay us for outputs, deliverables instead of hours. So that's a positive sign. You know, our clients just, they don't buy our capabilities. They don't buy our bullet point list of competencies and capabilities. They buy solutions to their business problems. They buy competitive advantage and category control and market expansion. And we have an opportunity now, and in fact, I believe an imperative to reframe and reconstruct our offerings as solution sets, not as services. So fortunately, we now see a strong movement in this direction. I have lots and lots of examples just like this one, where in place of what used to say services, we now see solutions. And that's precisely the right mindset and the right approach, especially in the age of AI. What we're trying to do is transform our commercial performance from the old unscalable time-based services model. And I say unscalable because as long as our revenue model is around hours and time, in order for us to add revenue, we have to add people. So that is the very definition of an unscalable business. We can begin to scale if we get in the practice of charging a fixed price for fixed scope, and many of you do that. But better yet, to reframe and reimagine what we do as products, or better yet, a higher order of magnitude, and I'll go deeper into this, programs. Because when we do that, we can scale, we can add revenue without adding people. And it turns out that AI can really only plays a role in these options, you know, the fixed price, the products, the programs. It doesn't help us at all in a time-based model, because we can't really capture the value of AI or AI tools in a time-based model. Now, I want to acknowledge that this idea of products is a scary concept for us as professionals, and I've spent my entire career in the agency business, so I absolutely understand this. We have a strong aversion to the idea of the concept of productization, because we want to believe that everything we do is completely custom and completely unique. And I just want to invite you to consider product as simply the dictionary definition, a bundle of attributes that a buyer desires. It's just a way of reframing what we do and redescribing what we do in a way that makes it easier for clients to understand what we're selling, easier for them to really buy what we do. And it's why many leading agencies are now reimagining services as products, and they're hiring chief product officers. There are many notable examples of this, and I think it's no coincidence that the leading respected agencies of the world are the ones that are on the forefront of hiring chief product officers and forming product teams. I'm going to show you more examples of that. And this is resulting in, you know, some very respected large multinational agencies such as TBWA, selling platforms, programs, products, trying to move clearly away from the idea of services and capabilities. Here's a small independent firm in the US called Beyond. They have reframed their entire service lineup as 3 products. And of course, you can drill down into each of these products, and you can see what it's made up of, you know, different bundles of outputs. And I'll show you how that works. Weber Shandwick in the PR world, they migrated to a productized business model some years ago, and many more examples of agencies, both large and small. You visit their website, in place of services, you see solutions, and then what they serve up are a suite of products and programs designed to solve client business problems. Now, when I talk about developing products, that I know that's intimidating, but just keep in mind that this isn't necessarily a brand new product, but it can be a new combination of existing capabilities, things you already do. And I have the iPhone up here as an example because Steve Jobs famously, when he got up and announced the iPhone, he held it up and he said, "Now this is a really incredible piece of disruptive technology that's never existed before, but everything that goes into the iPhone had already been developed by someone else. We just took those bits and pieces and put them together in a way that no one ever had done before." And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is take your current strengths and capabilities and just reimagine them in a different way, bundle them up and in a named proprietary way that has value to your client. I mean, in effect, this is the idea of a black box, and I'm a fan of black boxes because I think that unique combinations of solutions are always more valuable than individual services. That's just a basic piece of pricing psychology. And our problem in our industry, our economic problem, is that we don't have enough black boxes. We're in the white box business, meaning most agencies can duplicate what other agencies do. It represents 80% of our revenues. What I would call the lower value, easy to duplicate type of work that is commonly available at agencies around the world versus, boy, I've never seen that before, and I don't know that I could find this elsewhere. That's the goal, and we want to switch this. We want 80% of our revenues to be black box revenues, and can you imagine the impact that would have on your margins? So where do we start? If we think about these two axes of frequency and complexity, in other words, things that we do all the time, and how difficult is it? There are many things that we do in our firms that are candidates for automation, some candidates for productization, and some for customization. Automation is the area where software is perfectly suited to come in and help us with workflow automation, resource management, project management, and all of you today are using workflow project management software, no doubt. But let's keep in mind, this is not necessarily AI. This is automation, and automation is technically different from artificial intelligence. Not the same thing, but it's got to be monetized in a similar way. In other words, we can't give it away. We have to be able to capture the value of even automation. Now, there are some things that we do for our clients that are what I call unknown solutions to unknown problems, like, wow, that's really unique. We've never seen that problem before. But that is much more uncommon than most agencies think. We like to believe that that's most of what we do, and I'm here to tell you it's maybe 5% of what we do. We've run some pretty comprehensive analysis of the types of agency assignments, and it turns out most of what we do, we've seen that problem before and we've solved it before. So that's where we have an opportunity to build products. And again, I'll explain more. Now here in the middle are the things that are candidates for productization: brief development, performance dashboards, analytics reporting, CRM programs, social media programs, and there's a big long list here. Those are all candidates for taking these, what would formerly be a service, and turning them into a product. And if we put AI to work for us, then that is a force multiplier that it has a tremendously positive impact on our margins. Here's this analysis of, known and unknown solutions and problems. As I say, most of what we do are things we've seen before. Only, a small fraction is really, wow, this is really unusual. And then there are the other variations in this matrix. So I give you this as background because I know there's this aversion to the idea of productization because we think it means standardization. We only mean that it's a standardized roadmap. It's a standardized framework. It's not standardized thinking. Of course, the ultimate solution and the concept and the thinking will always be unique. And the more unique, the better, no question. But our argument is that if we thought about a framework for getting from A to Z, we can spend more time thinking and less time trying to put together these custom scopes that where we pretend that, well, we're building this thing from the ground up. Well, no, we've actually done it many, many times before. Let's standardize this into a product, knowing that the end result will be unique. And one of my favorite examples of this is the iconic architect Frank Gehry. I imagine most of you know him, American architect famous for pretty crazy buildings. If you've traveled the world, you've seen some of his work, and I think you would all agree it's pretty unique. There was an entire Harvard Business Review article on how Gehry counterintuitively is very strong on process and has very locked down frameworks for getting his work done. And he actually delivers on time and on budget. You'd expect the opposite from a crazy guy like Frank Gehry. And this is what I'm talking about here is let's productize the framework so that our actual thinking can be all that much better. So I'm going to argue that a productized business model plus AI spells the future of the agency business. And I believe that a solutions-based AI-powered business model allows us presents five strong benefits. And I'm going to go through these quickly one at a time and just give you an example of what I mean. It allows us to scale our revenues without increasing our costs. And this is an incredibly important point because I don't know how many of us have stopped to realize that all these many years, we have worked in an unscalable business. And it's what underlies a lot of our frustration. Let me show you what I mean. There's a measurement many of us use, revenue per FTE, revenue per employee. And we do this math, we look at these numbers internally, and let me show you what it is on average. I picked on WPP here. It would be the same for Omnicom or any of the multinationals. It would be similar for an independent agency. It usually hovers around $150,000 US, more or less. I mean, some agencies do better than that. They might be 200 and maybe 250. That's rare. Many are worse than that. But what do you think the revenue per employee is at Google? It's 1.3 million. Apple, 2 million. So here's the difference between our client organizations and the professional services business. Our client organizations, they are in the business of leveraging the intellectual capital of their employees by developing and selling programs and products. And there is an unlimited supply of intellectual capital. We, on the other hand, we view our employees as billing machines. But when we sell their time, we're limited to the number of employees times the number of available hours. We put a self-imposed cap ceiling on our revenues and our profits. None of our client organizations do that. And we therefore don't have a scalable business because, as I've said, when adding revenue requires adding labor, that's the very definition of a non-scalable business. We have a linear revenue model, whereas our client organizations, they've got exponential model where, as I've said, they take what they already know and they find ways to create value from their intellectual capital that has nothing to do with time that goes on a timesheet. Our client organizations don't do timesheets, right? That's a foreign concept to them. Why would they? They don't need to, because they've got revenue models that are completely scalable. So next, I submit that the model I'm talking about today optimizes our pricing and profits. It actually, AI, when I first saw AI emerging on the horizon, I thought, uh-oh, here's trouble. We're going to have even a harder time with pricing and maintaining our margins. I now believe the exact opposite. And let me just step back for a minute and explain a little bit more about what I mean about products and programs. So here's where the industry has been for decades, selling inputs. It's the all-you-can-eat buffet, where we would then, in this model, we consider AI a cost, wouldn't we? And we would charge our client for the cost of the AI tool, which is a pretty dumb idea. As I've said, we much better to move up toward selling outputs, and this way we price the deliverable, not the hour. It's much more predictable. It's much easier to control, and is a definite step in the right direction. But we have the opportunity to take those outputs, combine them in unique ways, as I've described, and let's turn those into products. These are unique combinations of outputs. But better yet, programs, which are collections of products. So you can see the hierarchy here. Programs are at the top of this hierarchy because they're collections of our products made up of outputs. And here we price the program. It's fully systematized, and it allows us to optimize the use of AI. And I'm going to show you many real world examples of that. So in this process, we're transforming our commercial performance because, as I said, in the traditional service-led model, revenue per head, around 150,000, and you can see how this breaks down. This will look familiar to you, especially the finance people in the audience today. If we migrate to a solution-led model where we're pricing the solution, not the service or the hour, easy to achieve 250, 300, 350. I've seen 500,000 revenue per head in this model. Our salary costs actually go down. We spend less of our overhead. We end up with at least a 30% profit. Our goal and the work we do with agencies is a 40% profit as a minimum, because we bake that margin into the products. It's baked in. So the benefit here is no profit ceiling. As I said, we're not constrained by, we only have so many people who can charge so many hours. And we now can benefit from solving problems faster. If we're selling products and programs and we're pricing the program, then the faster we solve it, the more we earn, because we can now then go on and start the next program. We actually benefit from our investments in technology because we can recover those costs in a way that the hourly system won't allow, and we can monetize our intellectual capital and intellectual property in ways that, again, the hourly rate system just won't permit. It, on the flip side, so helps us with our pricing profits. On the flip side, actually reduces our operating expenses, because when we have pre-established products and programs, we know how to get this work done. We have roadmaps. We do this, and then we do this, and we do this, and here are the resources that it takes, and here's generally the delivery time, and so that's all mapped out. The solution itself, that's independent. This is just the roadmap to get to the solution. And by abandoning the whole hourly rate system, we significantly reduce our cost structure, because what we call the time machine consumes somewhere between 15 and 20% of your total operating expenses. So that then goes straight, that 15, 20% now goes straight to your bottom line when we're not having to record, estimate, reconcile, defend, report, analyze, defend time. So we've got a different model that doesn't require that. And it allows better financial forecasting, because we know what we're delivering at what price and with what required resources. We're not having to sit down with a blank sheet of paper every time and build a completely custom scope for something we've already done before. We know how to do this. So let's just map that out in advance. One point that was not on my radar for a long time, but is now, is that this model actually helps us leverage our superstars. A friend of mine made the point, in a time-based environment, superstars don't scale. And that is true, isn't it? You got an all-star creative director who can bill 2,000 hours, 2,100 hours, and that's it. And that's all the value you're going to be able to extract from that person. Whereas in a product-based environment, superstars absolutely scale. Here's Johnny Ive, who for many years was the business partner of Steve Jobs, the designer behind the look and feel of almost every Apple product, was the brainchild of Jonathan Ive. And so he's not doing a timesheet. He's not constrained by, hours he can bill. Your superstars of all stripes, strategic planners, creatives, can absolutely scale in this product-based environment. And then finally, for those of you who might be selling your business at some point in time, it has a big impact on valuations, because the service-based model, that's the acquire gets your client list and maybe some of your people for 3 years. Whereas with a solution-based model, they're buying an inventory of proprietary programs or products. That's a multiple of 12 to 16 instead of 5 to 9. So that is something to consider. Let's take a quick look. By the way, we are going to have a period of Q&A. I'm doing a lot of talking right now, but we're gonna stop and spend time at the end of the workshop for all the questions you might have brewing. Let's look at what we mean by a product. Excuse me. The anatomy of a product, it is first and foremost output outcome focused. So it doesn't have anything to do with inputs and hours. We're only selling outputs and outcomes. We're going to embed data and insights right into the product. Certainly, we're going to optimize the use of AI to the extent we can. Full use of AI. It is by definition a lean team model, because we are trying to do things in a more repeatable way, and so it requires fewer people, has predefined process, repeatable methods, QAs built in as well, and most importantly, the pricing model is we're pricing the solution, not the time or the hours or the people. We're pricing the solution. Products approach client relationships from the top down, not the bottom up. If you think about the old service model, those are based on briefs where it's reactive. The client says, here, I need these 19 things, and we react and we fill the order. Products are based on client problems that you're diagnosing. It's a proactive approach where you're coming in and recommending solutions to their business problems. Now, you're going to tell me, sure, that's what good agencies do, but I submit that our current model makes that difficult. It's turned our industry into much more of a reactive kind of a business than it ever was before the invention of the hourly rate. And I go back in this business long enough to remember that era. So we begin product development by stepping back asking ourselves, what are the main types of problems our firm solves for its clients? Now you're going to say, wow, that's a long list. We solve lots of different problems. But I'll tell you, having consulted with many firms over many years on this, you can narrow that list down. I mean, here's VCCP, a very well-regarded firm based out of the UK. I'm sure you know them. They boiled their client problems down into 4 basic kinds of challenges that they face these same challenges over and over for their clients. So they design a set of programs and products around these challenges. Here's a really interesting agency. I'm going to talk about them later, called 10,000 Robots. That's a AI powered business model. And they do the same thing. They front and center on their website isn't, here are all the services we offer. It's, here are the types of problems we solve for our clients. We solve these kinds of brand problems, product problems, and content problems. And you can read here if it's readable on your screens. They state the product problems that they are best suited to solve for their clients. So this allows us to then, to develop a suite of programs and products around these client problems. Your client problem, I know there's hidden value in my customer base. I don't know how to unlock, protect, and grow it. Well, here's our answer. This suite of solution sets. The agency that does most of the PR work for Microsoft, We Communications, based out of Seattle, they recently went through a process where they completely imagined their business model. And they did the very thing that I'm talking about right now. They said, let's don't offer up this bullet point list of services. Let's identify the problems we solve for our clients, and then let's develop a set of programs and products. And is what you see on the screen here. They just launched this a few months ago. So they have Launchpad and Reputation Resilience and the C-Suite Surround and others. And these products now encapsulate all of their core competencies. And when they go to work for a client, they price the program. They no longer are pricing teams and buckets of hours. I'll go so far as to say, alongside AI, productization is the most significant trend we're seeing across the professional services industry. We see it in law, in architecture, in IT. I mean, you name the professional services business. They're all now reimagining their businesses around this productized business model because they see the benefits to it. So once again, be thinking of, we're not going to stop now, but be thinking of any questions or comments you have, and then Simon will moderate a Q&A session for us in about 30 minutes. Let's now delve into kind of the heart of today's workshop. How do we capture the value of what AI is doing for our firms? Because you're all probably at a different place in your evolution around adopting various AI tools. Some of you are maybe just getting started. Some of you are kind of halfway there, and others you're aggressively trying to optimize every AI tool you can. But I think there are 5 basic ways we can capture the value of AI. And I want to talk about each one individually and show you quite a few real world examples from agencies large and small. The first method, the first option we have is the simplest. And that is simply to charge a set price for outputs developed using AI powered tools. So it's what we were talking about before. Set a price for the deliverable itself, for the output. The only difference here is that we're now going to use AI as aggressively as we can, because it's going to help us produce that output faster, cheaper, and arguably better. I think most of you would agree with that. Certainly the faster and cheaper part. I would argue the better, that better is actually also true. And so what we're seeing now is agencies who have developed what we call a pricing guide. So this is a matter of, and some of you've done this. We've done some work with some firms in New Zealand, so I know you have. A pricing guide, which is essentially a giant spreadsheet or database where you've got all your outputs listed and you have attached a price to these outputs, so that you're able to quickly just consult your database to put your pricing together. You're not consulting hourly rate schedules, you're consulting this pricing guide. The way your pricing guides are constructed now is in a traditional way, probably, where it's humans and maybe no AI. So I'm using here a digital banner ad campaign, 7 different creative executions, each in 4 sizes. I'm going to use this as an example throughout the workshop in different ways, but this is what it would look like priced in a traditional way. There's a hybrid version of this same thing. That means we're humans still heavily involved, but we're going to use AI to help. So that reduces the cost, not the price, but the cost pretty significantly. And now if we're full AI powered, that really reduces the cost, doesn't it? Now, would you want to do a digital ad campaign, banner ad campaign, just using AI? Maybe. I think most of us would be a little uncomfortable doing that right now. There'll come a time when that'll be more commonplace. I think most of us are going to land here in the middle, where we're going to use AI tools wisely in the creation production of our work. So there are a lot of examples now from the agency space where there are AI produced outputs. Some agencies have AI powered production units. So this is an example called Trade School from the agency 22 Squared in Atlanta. Here's another independent agency. They're showing how AI powers their production work. So I think a lot of you are already doing this. You're using AI, you're leveraging AI to help in the production of your outputs. Option 2 is to charge a price for agency developed programs that leverage AI. So I'm preaching this idea of products of programs, that's the highest order, designed to solve client problems. And there's some awesome examples of this out there now that are AI powered. So this is an independent firm called Truth Collective. They recently developed a AI platform called Bravestorm. And Bravestorm allows the agency to work very collaboratively with their client for a period of 30 days in a series of sprints that takes the client from zero to product launch in 30 days. I mean, it's something that might take normally 6 to 9 months. In the traditional framework, their goal is 30 days because we're making very progressive use of AI to help us get there. And we need intensive involvement from our client in that 30-day period in these series of sprints. I think it's a brilliant idea. Here's an agency called Time Under Tension. They have a similar product called Peak. It's an AI platform that some of you are using other off-the-shelf versions of this kind of AI platform, AI software, but this is a proprietary agency-developed platform that is available either for the agency to use on the client's behalf or the client to use. Now let's go back to our digital ad campaign that I referenced before, and let's imagine that we want to monetize that by using a AI platform that we as an agency developed, and we're going to license this platform to our clients so that they can create their own digital banner ad campaign. And this is just a prototype. This just shows you how it could work, where you attach a price to various assets and various outputs, but it absolutely can work and is being used by this kind of approach is being used by agencies today. So this is like usage-based licensing. Let's look at option 3. This is to charge a price for using agency-developed AI products, as opposed to platforms. So you remember the distinction. Product is a step down from a platform. The products are more modular. They're kind of plug and play. RGA, well-respected agency that you know, recently established an AI products team, and with this very goal in mind, and their first 3 products are these: storytelling engine, generative interfaces, and a brand creator that they are licensing to their clients. From Australia, I thought this was an interesting idea of AI, agency-developed AI products. An AI-powered brand intelligence consultant, in effect. Again, this gets licensed back to clients, and you can see the pricing structure here on the bottom right. Here's the agency Time Under Tension that I referred to a few slides ago. They developed a set of AI-powered products that you can see listed here that they make available to whoever wants to license them. Proposal writing, brief development, product image compliance, a document discovery. So this is a work in progress. They keep adding to this, but what you can see here is that they have a suite of products versus a bullet point list of services, which is pretty different. This one I love. This is the independent firm in the US that's pretty notable. They've developed an AI-powered focus groups platform. So these are not real people. These are personas. These are archetypes, kind of cloned versions of the types of people that would make up the audience of a particular brand. And they can run a virtual focus group with these personas. And it's remarkably effective. Pretty much the same thing you get from get on the plane and spend thousands and thousands bringing people into a little room with a moderator. You get very similar results, much faster and for a lot less money, of course. The agency Jellyfish has developed a series of social agents, about agentic AI, where they are used in e-commerce and SEO. Again, this gets licensed to clients in social media programs. The agency Huge has a model they call Live. It's their living intelligence value engine that deliver culture-driven insights for brands. So again, it's a product, AI-powered product, and it's their main revenue source now at Huge. They used to be a time and materials shop years and years ago, but they went through this transformation process and they are now a product business. And there's a whole book about how they got there called Madison Avenue Makeover by my friend Michael Farmer. BCCP, which I referenced a few minutes ago, for their big client O2, the big telecom in Europe, they developed an AI platform that allows their client to create brand assets using O2's bubble icon or avatar, little character that they use in their marketing. And they license this to their one client, O2. Pretty interesting idea. One of my favorite examples comes from a US-based firm called PMG, and they have a whole marketplace of AI products. Let me share this with you.
Should that have sound, Tim? We're not getting the sound, Tim.
Oh,
It's probably just music.
yeah, it was just music, so hopefully that was okay. But again, a whole marketplace of AI products that they keep adding to. Now let's go back to our good old digital banner ad campaign. If we decided to try and monetize this as a product, now I completely made this up. I call it Ad Gen, Intelligent Banner Creation, and I see a typo here. Sorry, program. Um, and it comes in three versions: Essential, Growth, and Enterprise. It's a You develop this product as an agency, and you then allow your client to access this product in the development of a banner ad campaign. So I'm trying to show you how this same example of a digital banner ad campaign can be monetized in many different ways, including this one. Okay, option 4, charge a price for the outcomes produced by AI-powered tools. This one, I think, is the future of AI in our business. I foresee a future in which most of our work for clients is going to be priced based on outcomes. I certainly wouldn't have said that anytime in the past because can be a complicated, risky approach. But with AI at our back, we have a much higher degree of certainty that we will produce the results that we promised. And let me show you some kind of late breaking examples of that. Here's a performance marketing agency that works with e-commerce brands, and their comp is tied to percent of incremental revenue. So ROI or return on advertising spend. So it is not based on certainly not on time and materials or outputs, but only on outcomes. Why would they do this? Because they're confident that they're going to deliver the incremental revenue because they're using AI platforms that are proven to work. Here's a firm called the Department. They use AI-powered tools to earn a fee per qualified lead or customer acquired. Cost per lead, CPA, CPL in place of agency hours. Again, because they know that AI they're using predictive analytics. They know what that's going to look like, and they end up coming out pretty well compared to doing it the traditional way. Reprise, for selected campaigns, they do SEO or CRO work where compensation based on measurable uplift in organic traffic or website conversions. Again, same rationale. They know that they can generate fairly predictable results. So why not tie it to those outcomes? Because the outcomes are inherently more valuable to the client and therefore can command a price premium. So again, I predict I would like to come back in 2 or 3 years and do another workshop with you, and it's all about how our business has morphed completely to an outcomes-based business, because I really think that's what's going to happen. Let's go back to our good old digital banner ad campaign. Could you price that based on outcomes? Yep, absolutely. We'll develop the campaign, and then you can pay us based on cost per acquisition or return on spend or engagement or revenue share or leads. I mean, lots of different KPIs that we could use to capture the value of that digital banner ad campaign. The next one I find really interesting, and that's the idea of, we all know software as a service, SaaS. This is AI as a service. And lots of emerging examples here. Media Monks is the great agency. You guys know this is Martin Sorrell's business. They just launched Monk's Flow, which deploys, I'm reading now from their website, specialized AI agents across your complete marketing ecosystem. And so it sends out these specialized agents that that you control. It's essentially a software as a service business model. It's priced that way. It's managed that way, and they keep track. It's got analytics baked in, the whole thing. Another example from the agency Supergood, they have a platform they call Supercharger. They say it's a AI SaaS platform built by advertisers for advertisers, so that you subscribe, just like you subscribe to software, you subscribe to Supercharger. Known is an independent US based firm. These guys were one of the agencies of the year here in the US this year. They've built their entire business around a software as a service model, a product they call Skeptic AI. And I'd like to just run this quick video and then talk about it.
Yeah. Known's proprietary software and technology enables rapid experimentation and creative optimization at unbelievable scale. So how does it work? First, our research and strategy teams immerse themselves in every crucial data point about your business, developing strategies to run and hypotheses to test. Our Skeptic software then builds a scientific campaign approach and hyper-experimentation plan that will enable us to learn, optimize, and outperform in real time. In tandem, our creative teams begin leveraging strategic insights to produce a content library of fresh creative. Skeptic allows us to assemble and organize a large suite of variable, testable assets, all imprinted with metadata that, once deployed, accelerates learning and optimization. Using advanced segmentation methodologies developed here at Known, our PhD data scientists implement precise microsegments and tactics, generating in some cases tens of thousands of unique creative and targeting combinations, which Skeptic will then automatically traffic, test, and track across all media platforms. Skeptic gives our team the power to monitor, refine, reallocate, and optimize every aspect of a campaign in real time, purging what isn't performing while our creatives get busy making more of what is. Skeptic's advanced machine learning and predictive algorithms help us to see into the future, to know exactly what to make next. All of this means our campaigns aren't just smart, they're predisposed to win, becoming more efficient and more effective every second. That's what marketers need to outperform their competition. That's Known, powered by Skeptic.
So here's how they position it as AI as a service. This top chart shows, this spectrum of, do it for me. So you guys go ahead and use this platform and just do all the work for me, or let me do it. This bottom chart. We'll subscribe to your AI product and we'll do it, or there's something in between. You do a little bit, we'll do a little bit, but we'll subscribe and accordingly and pay you for the value of your product. So would this work for our digital banner ad campaign? Absolutely. We could offer up subscription-based access to a AI-powered banner creation and testing platform, and we could have a starter plan, a growth plan, an enterprise plan. So, this is all borrowed from the software business. And some of you who've heard me present before, you know how I feel about options. Always present options. We learned that from the software business, and so you always want to apply that in any of these models that we're showing. All right, a few more things. We're going to stop and talk. Last option is that in any case, you can dramatically improve your margins by using AI tools to do more work in less time. I mean, that's the obvious way we're going to capture the value of AI. One of the firms we work with recently said we've reduced production time by up to 50% through generative AI assisted workflows. And I imagine many of you have had the same experience. I mean, it's just incredible the operational improvements that organizations are getting from AI. You know all about this. 40% decrease in ad creation optimization time, 90% reduction in report generation time. I mean, it's really mind-bending what AI is doing for for agencies in many areas, and I want to talk about these. So, planning, creating, producing, managing, monitoring, analyzing. Here's 10,000 robots. I referenced them a few slides ago. This is a really interesting business model. You should check these guys out. They are a AI first, AI optimized model where they really are trying to get AI to do every conceivable job that a human could do. And you know the impact that's going to have on, speed, cost, and their argument would be even quality. And of course, there are off-the-shelf solutions available to us that are now being adopted by agencies across the globe. There's Magnolia, AI-powered strategic planner for agencies. So, ChatGPT can do this, but Magnolia is built specifically for agencies, and it's an awesome partner in helping throughout the entire strategic planning process. In the creation process, you probably know about Pencil, an awesome AI-powered tool that both agencies and clients alike are using pretty widely. Media Pilot, same kind of a concept. In the production of work, of course, multinationals have their own versions of there's the Dentsu Content Symphony that's used internally, but then there are off-the-shelf versions that are available to any agency. I like this product Scope better. It is AI-powered pricing and scope development software that aligns perfectly with all the concepts we're talking about today. Flip side of that is, okay, you've done the pricing, not dependent on timesheets. How do we now do the resource management, also not dependent on timesheets? Well, here's one answer. It's a new system called Parallax. It's an AI-powered resource management software. You do not need a timesheet to forecast, allocate, manage, or track your resources. It can all be done using outputs, not inputs. And it uses AI behind the scenes to build predictive models. A lot of monitoring capabilities in AI. Here's the Weber Shandwick product that monitors for their crisis communications clients. It monitors, emerging crises around the world, and then analyzing lots of, powerful AI-powered analytics tools. No doubt some of you are already using them. So, I mean, it's overwhelming. I think you'd agree the number of tools, new tools that keep emerging every week. It's hard to keep up on, but what an incredible opportunity for us. But it is completely remaking the economics of the agency-client relationship, isn't it? Let's take a few examples. I want to just get really specific now on the pricing question. Let's say we're engaged in an audience segmentation project for a client. So let's use our old hours-based model to determine a cost for an audience segmentation project. And so I've got the players, strategic planners, data analysts, etc. The hours they would spend, their hourly rate, and the total cost, $21,450. Now let's get AI to work to help us, not completely replace the humans, but to help the humans. The hours spent by the humans now go down dramatically so that our cost now becomes $41.20. And that's even including prorated cost of the AI software licenses. I mean, that's pretty incredible difference. So now we have to make some decisions about price. You see, in the old hourly rate system, price was not a judgment, it was a calculation. We'd simply add up all the hours times the hourly rate, and there's our price, which isn't pricing, it's just costing, right? It's all wrong. It's a completely wrong system. but it doesn't require any judgment. I'm telling you, in the world of AI, you've now got to use judgment, and you'll start seeing pricing as an art instead of a science. So let me show you what I mean. Here's that segmentation project, the cost that we just looked at, 21,450. Now, if you want to make your 20% margin, your price has to be 26,800, doesn't it? That's the old model. But if we decide to use the AI tools to help us, as we've noted, our cost is now 4120. If you still price it at 26.8, you're going to get an 85% margin. I don't know how you feel about that, and I don't know how your clients would feel about that. I suspect if your clients knew you were using AI, they would look at that and say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't that be a lot less money? So let's cut the price in half. But let's note the margin. You've cut your price in half and your margin is still 60%. All right, let's go down now to 6,900. We're going to be generous. Your margin is still 40%. Do you see what's happening here? What's happening is, sorry, we are able to offer our clients a lower price. We've got someone that needs to mute their mic. Do we get the mic muted? Simon, do you have the ability to mute the microphones?
Yeah, I'll just have to go and have a look. Hold on.
Okay. All right. So my point here is that you can offer your client a lower price, a benefit to them, and you're still going to make a higher margin. You can't help but make a higher margin. It's a true win-win. AI-powered solutions enable both a lower price for the client and a higher margin for the agency. It's the incredible, unexpected silver lining to the AI revolution. And clients will, is that going to mean less revenue for you? No, because clients will reinvest the savings into assigning more work to you, which maintains or maybe increases total revenue. And that's going to apply to every kind of project you do. Social media campaign, landing pages, across the board. The key is you have to get in the habit of pricing the program, the solution, the product, not the hour of the person, right? We need to leave that behind. And even Martin Sorrell realizes that while the price per asset might fall, the number of assets grows at an exponential rate, and therefore total revenues will rise for us. So we don't have to look at the impact of AI negatively at all. It's what's going to save us, and that's a really unexpected insight, I think, for most of us. So again, we take different kinds of projects, which I've listed down the left, and the labor cost or AI cost, normal price to a client, an AI powered price, what that saves the client, and still we can't help but make above average margins. So yes, you'll be charging less for your work, but you'll be making these higher margins, and your clients will be saving money, then reinvesting with you. I want to talk quickly, and then we're going to take your questions. How we present AI powered pricing, because it's different. The old model was, here's the scope of work, here are the people, here are the hours, here's the hourly rate, and the corresponding price. I put this in zeros because I don't want to get hung up on the actual figures, but rather the methodology, the approach. Whereas what we want to do is title our proposal not scope of work, but scope of value. We describe what our client gets, and then we list not the inputs, but the outputs, the deliverables. We attach the price there, knowing that all of these outputs and deliverables, we're going to be able to save a tremendous amount of time by aggressively using AI tools and platforms. I've just put some examples here on the slide, which results in a time savings of 55%. for this particular project. What is the cost of AI to an average agency of 100 people? I've done a fair amount of research on this, and my answer is around 120,000 US. If you're an aggressive user of AI and you have an agency of 100 people, that's going to be your investment. Now, guess what the average cost of a single employee is in an agency? It's more than that. It's 180,000 for a single new person versus an entire year of AI tools for 120,000. And if we take the fact that my other research is that AI can potentially do the work of 20 people in an agency of 100. And so that would, that saves 3.6 million minus the 120 you're going to spend, 120,000. That's a cost reduction of 3.480. I mean, those are pretty astounding figures that we need to just stop and ponder the incredible benefit to us. So let me just close with a couple of quick slides. I love this because if we're talking about AI is going to replace humans, we know it will, it's inevitable, but it won't replace all humans. And how do we make these judgments? I love this model done by my friends, Paul Reitzer and Mike Kaput. There are some jobs that are level 4. It can be all machine, it can be all AI. You could have an all AI resource manager. You don't need a human. AI can do that. You can have a mostly machine data analyst. Half and half is kind of a strategic planner. A mostly human job would be creative director, and an all human job would be CEO. And there are various versions of iterations of this. So we're going to have to sit down and make decisions about what are the roles that machines and AI are best suited to replace. And then just in summary, AI is going to have an impact on people, on profit, and on players for our firms. Traditional jobs can be reduced or eliminated. Every job, this is for sure, every job is going to be reimagined, and completely new jobs will be created. We all know that's on the horizon. Hourly rates will disappear. I predict within the next 12 to 18 months, there will no longer be such a thing as hourly rates. We'll charge for outputs, not inputs. Margins will increase. Agencies will finally have a scalable business model. We'll finally have the ability to add revenue without adding staff. That's a very significant development. And then I believe a monumental shakeout. 3 types of firms. What you want to be, the AI optimized agency. Those firms will thrive. The laggards are going to struggle, and then there are a number of agencies that are just going to lapse out of business. Sorry to say, but that's just, I think, what's going to happen. So here's a little roadmap for you. Month 1, if you haven't already, stop charging for inputs, start charging for the value of outputs. Evaluate and adopt the AI tools that you think you're going to need in your business model. Month 2, redesign your structure to optimize the use of AI tools in place of human labor where possible. Refine the job descriptions of every single employee. There's a really great tool called Jobs GPT that you can find online. You can upload the current job description that you have of all the people in your firm, and Jobs GPT will reimagine it in an AI optimized environment. It's a really great tool. Months 3 to 6, begin the development of your own AI powered products and programs that we've been talking about. And then, at month 6, you'll be in a position to finally make some decisions about how this is going to impact headcount. So, as promised, let's stop and talk about what's on your mind, any questions, comments, insights that you might have. Okay. Simon, I'll turn to you to moderate.
Thank you very much, Tim. Well, we've got a bunch of questions, and I suspect we've got 100 more swirling around people's heads. So we'll just get stuck into them. So I've got a question from Matt. When we price based on outcome, how do we hedge against the client making decisions that we know will detrimentally affect the effectiveness of the campaign? So if we're being paid on how well it does, how do we have more influence on the conditions that surround that campaign?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, a good question. Our practice there is to obligate the client to a set of guidelines and behaviors that apply both agency side and client side, where both parties agree to these set of guidelines, restrictions, like the client can't cut their budget in half. You can establish guidelines around approvals, because if you've got that much skin in the game as an agency, your client has to give you much more latitude in terms of you having a larger say in the concepts that get used. And so all of this can be outlined in writing, and we've got some examples of that.
Okay, thank you. Question from Natalie. As our clients have more and more access to the same AI tools as we do, how do we ensure the products we cost are competitive / different? And I guess the extension of that question, why would they come to us for them rather than just build their own?
Yeah, I think that is a question that is essential to solve, because you've got, first of all, I don't think you need to necessarily disclose to your clients the tools that you're using. I mean, if they ask, then you could be transparent and tell them. But what we're trying to do is develop, and this is my ultimate answer to this question, we're trying to develop our own AI platforms and products that bundle what might be widely available AI tools. It bundles them together in a unique way that wouldn't be easy for your client to replicate. So that's the ultimate way to mitigate that. But no doubt clients are going to be using AI themselves, and they should. So it just puts more, this makes it all the more urgent for us to create more black boxes, as we talked about.
Okay. Adele asks, in PR and comms, we're already seeing how generative AI can help with content creation, but agentic AI brings in decision-making, initiative, and autonomous action. From your perspective, what are the opportunities and risks for New Zealand firms moving towards agentic AI?
Well, no doubt that's the future. We're quickly moving into agentic AI, and I think there are lots of legal considerations. And I don't know if this is the intent of your question, but this is where you want to get good legal counsel. Where if you've got machines making decisions, you've got to protect yourselves. And I think this is the brave new territory that is still being figured out. But you can build, I showed you an example, Jellyfish. Go take a look at this is one of the brand tech agencies. If you know brand tech, based out of the UK, they have several agency brands that are all developing AI products, and Jellyfish is all about this agentic AI, and I would look at them as a model. I think they're doing it right.
Okay, thank you. Toby's asking what I think is probably on a lot of creatively minded folks' minds. Do you think the cost in creative quality for efficiency gains from AI is a worthwhile long-term exchange for both agencies and brands?
Yeah, hotly debated question. And I imagine most of you would agree with this. We want to use AI for idea generation. We want to use it to open up the options for us, but certainly not make the creative decisions. What I think generative AI does on the creative front is it just presents us with things that we would never have thought of if we had a room, writer and art director brainstorming for a couple hours together. It just provides us with a lot more input from which we can pick and choose and make our own decisions. So it's it comes down to the question of what's the proper way to use AI when it comes to creative development. And I mean, that's my answer.
Because it occurs to me that a lot of the AI examples that you've shared with us and exist in the world today, it's very hard to see the human in that. They all look like self-serve platforms that sort of remove that human capability.
Yeah.
And the differential. Is that fair in the products you've seen so far, or are you seeing some that solve that?
I would say I would draw a line between what I call magic and logic. So logic being data-driven decisions that are objective, versus the magic side of our business, which is where judgment and subjectivity come into play. So certainly there's a whole class of AI tools that operate on the whole logic side of our business, and that's fine. But on the magic side, that's where the hybrid approach always has to come into play. We don't want machines making final creative decisions. So I think that's a useful construct to say, are we talking about magic or logic here? Because if it's logic, fine, it can be all AI. If it's a magic type of project or decision, not the case.
And so just building on that, do you still see a future, and this is a question from Eduardo, do you still see a future for craft?
Oh yeah.
In an AI world?
Oh, absolutely. And I think these early experiments, like the agency called Product or 10,000 Robots, they realize that there's human oversight that is required. And so I think that that's up to us, and it's our argument to clients, right? It's back to that question: can a client just use AI and do this all themselves? Sure, but do they have a superstar strategist or creative director that is making the subjective decisions that's going to be the game changer?
Okay. Right, we've got a few more questions and 4 minutes, so I'm going to rattle through some. Jamie is, I think, challenging the assumption that any spend saved from clients is going to, come back to us. How do we set ourselves up to ensure we maintain budgets as we start charging less? How do we stop that spend being repurposed to other parts of the business as their cost reduction pressures mount?
Yeah, I think that's a real issue, and I do think some clients will just take the savings and run. But what we're finding, the evidence is from client associations, is that that's not what's happening. The evidence so far is that clients really are reinvesting the savings, and they're delighted to be able to do more. We all have this experience, right? Clients coming to us at the beginning of the year saying, we want all this, and we come back and say, you don't have the budget for it. I mean, we do this every year. And now a client can come and say, we want all this, and they actually will have the budget for it. So I acknowledge it's certainly possible that they could divert the cost savings to other places, or they could just pocket the savings. It appears that isn't what is happening in actuality so far.
Okay. Melissa asks, how do we actually price for outcomes? Do you use input as a base at all, especially when clients come to you with a budget?
No, don't think there's any reason that you'd need to use inputs or take inputs into consideration for outcome-based pricing, only in one way, and that is to establish your floor, right? You do want to, when you're doing an outcome-based agreement, you're going to price the value of the outcome, and you're going to project and do the math. But you want to make sure that it's not going to be that you still are going to cover your basic costs. So in that sense, you're going to take the cost of salaries and overhead into consideration to say, okay, our projection is we'll make this much on outcomes. Is that going to cover our costs? Yes, great, let's go.
Okay. One of the sort of existential questions, I think, attached to this from Robin: how do you envisage the development of future superstars if AI negates the majority of junior executional roles? Who will learn to be the superstars of the future?
Boy, I wish I knew the answer to that question. I'm worried about that. The development of human capital, I think, is going to be really problematic. Yeah, how do we teach and mentor people to grow through the business, because they can't just become instant superstars? I wish I knew the answer. I think that's one of the challenges we're going to have to figure out, and it applies across the board to all businesses, right? Not just ours. It's a really excellent question.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one more question if you've got time, and then we'll wrap up. James
Yeah, I do.
If AI creates efficiency and profit, agencies still must sell difference. How do we maximize the value of breaking patterns when AI is inherently designed to predict patterns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, again, this comes back to a product offering, developing a productized business model that features really interesting, unique solution sets that are not widely available from other firms. And that's a lot of hard work. We're not used to that because in the past, we've just been saying, well, here are our services, here are people, what do you want? And we'll fill the order. This is a lot more work. This is the top down, look at the types of problems we solve and the solutions we deliver. But it opens up the opportunity to develop truly a truly differentiated business model. If you go look at, and you'll have access to these slides, go to the websites of some of the agencies I featured here that are some of the leaders in this space, and look at their, they'll have a solutions. You click on that, look at what they've developed, and you'll say, wow, that's pretty different. That's pretty different from what we do. So this helps us, I think, differentiate our offering in a way that the time and materials model never could.
Okay. Well, I suspect we could keep going for another hour, but we've run out of time. Michael, the question of slides, yes, we will have the slides available. Just look out for an email. We'll email everyone who registered for this session. So no need to send any chase ups. We'll get those to you. But I'd like to thank Tim enormously for sharing what I suspect has been sort of stimulating, provocative, scary, exciting, all of those things. And thank you everyone for being a really questioning audience today as well. It makes an enormous difference. So Tim, you're getting lots of applause, albeit silent and emoji based. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Tim, for sharing your knowledge and expertise.
Well, thank you very much. We do this workshop for individual agencies as well. So if any of you are interested in that for your own teams, we'd be happy to hear from you. So thanks very much for inviting me.